Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. So again, I'm not trying to offend anybody. I will go ahead and say that I apologize for saying that they're, whoever I was talking about in the last video, that they're lesser stock B word. Okay? Now, I don't think it was unfair for me to say it. And that goes back to, my points, right? Point number 17, for example, the first point of this video, is that Filipinos tend to be more attractive than whites and Jews. Okay? And they, as they say, know your worth. Now, I put that there because when somebody rejects me with the white and Jewish scale, the neo-colonial scale, whatever you want to call it, okay, they're basically saying, and they do it in a certain way, mind you. They reject me as a single person. They present themselves a certain way, and they say, hey, if I was single, I'd reject you. And you know why? Because I'm this type of person. They say, why would I date you? Because you're a loser, is what she's saying. She's basically saying by her actions, you're a loser who knows better than to try to talk to me. And she's using the devil's scale, which is most pronounced in rich white and rich Jewish culture. For example, the government, right? A bunch of rich whites and Jews, right? Look at Israel and America and their alliance, right? Corporations, right? For the most part here in America, a bunch of rich whites and Jews, and when they're other races and other countries, they're doing it in the rich white and Jewish neo-Roman tradition, neo-Greco-Roman tradition, right? The Freemasons, for example. And these other social clubs and societies that we have here, Greek frats in college, right? And on and on and on, right? Colleges and the people who sponsor them, a bunch of rich, old white and Jewish guys for the most part. So he's basically saying that the Son of God is a scrub who shouldn't try to talk to her. And a lot of these people go to church and everything and just complete hypocrisy, complete wickedness, greed, self-indulgence, and hypocrisy. And again, it's not just her. So she's making an idolatrous argument that people from the synagogue of Satan and the neo-colonial cultures, which are basically satanic cultures, that their ways make them a better mate, including not just sex and kissing, but including bringing their kid into this world, than the Son of God. People were stoned for far less than rejecting Jesus yourself. You see what I'm saying? But luckily for her, I didn't try to talk to her. But people were stoned for far less than that. Their actions, this is why Sodom was destroyed, by its actions that rejected God. The Israelites in the story, time and time again, by their actions, they rejected God, and God's punishing them and punishing them and punishing them, making them confused and jealous and petty, making it so they adopted cultures where they try to elevate the confused and jealous and petty and evil. And they're molesting kids, and they're doing all kind of stupid stuff in churches, and not just the Israelites, and everyone who rolled with the synagogue of Satan. So the kingdom of heaven was taken away from them. So the kingdom of heaven will be taken away from you. And it was. They were no longer chosen. Galatians 4, Galatians 3:28, they were no longer chosen. And many of them, to their extreme disgrace, are arguing that they still are, which makes them look dumber, which is more of a curse for them. And so her rejection touches on a deeper issue between God and the devil, between Jesus and Caiaphas, and Jesus and Herod, between good and evil, between Horus and Set, as the Egyptians would say. The true form of Horus, which is the idea of a righteous son of God who's a king, the king of kings, and Set, who's the devil and the son of the devil. So by her rejecting me, she said that she's chosen the devil. By her rejecting me, by her actions, by her looks, by her gang stalking complicity, she said with all of her heart, in a sense, that she's with the devil, and that she wants the rewards that come with being with the devil, and that she doesn't fear the consequences of waging psychological and spiritual and holy war against God. Could I have been angry enough? Could I have been too angry? Point number 18. Society, especially both political parties, fail when it comes to understanding decency. So you might think, well, yeah, everyone's, there's 380,000 churches in America, 20,000 Christian denominations. Okay, it's the country with the most martial arts schools in the world. You just look around, people are going to know how you feel. They're going to straighten this out. They're going to make billboards. They're going to tell their friends. They're going to make videos about this. No, because they're not decent enough to help the Son of God with no ulterior motives. They're not decent enough to elevate me publicly. They are not raised right. They don't have the dignity or the self-respect. They don't have the wisdom, the sense, the insight, the discipline. They don't have the spirit of sound judgment. They don't understand 2 Timothy 1:7, or they scramble to receive the true spirit, not that bullshit they get from church like a bitch. Okay. Point number 19, the indigenous Judas effect. It goes like this. When somebody is an indigenous person, especially because her complexion was like mine, right? I'm tall, she's shorter, okay, but her complexion was like mine. And I'm mixed too, right? She's probably mixed with Jewish and Spanish and indigenous Filipino and whatever else. I'm mixed with black and white and a touch Jewish, as the story goes. So, in a sense, she's more like me than black people are, who are seen as all black. Because I'm mixed, she's mixed, and she's about my complexion. And she's almost certainly mixed with a black-looking indigenous Filipino person. So, she has betrayed me on that level. However, keep in mind this. I'm not a flesh-based person. I'm not a racial supremacist. I'm a tribalist. But we're conditioned in this society to see it that way to some degree, and it's in our subconscious. So to some degree, I see it as, hey, you sold me out for the white oppressor, and you're a person of color. You're an indigenous person. This isn't my biggest complaint or something, but it factors in. Point number 20. That's the effect it's going to have, right? How do you punish them effects? So as I'm getting angry, I'm angry. And I have to keep my mouth shut. I have to keep this to myself because I'm in a crowded shopping store, a grocery store. I can't say, hey, I know you'd reject me, lady, and I don't appreciate it. I can't look at her mean. That's not my style anyway. You see what I'm saying? So I was put in a position because of her addiction to evil. Alpha addiction. Because of her addiction to serving a dictator, Tater. A dick at rot, scrambled, dictator. Going back to that 50% reduction in testosterone. Because of her allegiance to the devil and the scum who are dumb enough to be the most evil and greedy people that ever lived, really. I have to sit there with figurative smoke coming out of my ears saying, how do I get even with whoever is to blame according to their deeds? Revelation 6, how long, sovereign Lord, holy and true, until you judge the inhabitants of the earth. Who? The inhabitants of the earth. And avenge our blood. And of course the devil and the false prophet and the beast and the harlot are thrown in the lake of fire in Revelation as well. Point number, that was point number 20. Point number 21. Proverbs 26:18. Like a maniac shooting flaming arrows of death is one who deceives their neighbor and says, I was only joking. Like a maniac. Has the word man in it. Man, I-A-C. What alpha do you see? How do you see things? What's your point of view? What's the truth of the matter? What do you think is the truth? Like a maniac shooting flaming arrows of death is one who deceives their neighbor and says, I was only joking. Now keep in mind, I'm not kissing anyone's ass here. When you think about it, most people, when they hear this, will be offended to some degree. I'm saying everyone's outside the divine order. I'm the only one doing the right thing, and they're fucking up. Shame on them. Shame on everyone listening right now for not obeying God through me. I'm forcing you to use your head. I'm right about this, and you're all wrong. And I want you to truly think about why that is. You're not going to default with he sees something like me. I'm going to pretend it's right. You're going to actually think about whether or not I'm right. Like a maniac shooting flaming arrows of death is one who deceives their neighbor and says, I was only joking. So when she laughs with her friends, oh, the heck, that guy, if I try to talk to her, this kind of scrub came up to me, oh my gosh, that's stupid. Like, they start saying things a certain way. Is her giggling harmless? No. It's like a maniac shooting flaming arrows of death. She deceives herself, her friend, anyone listening, everyone she's leading astray by the way she presents herself. And she's communicating to the world that it's magically okay, which it's not, to be a maniac shooting flaming arrows of death out of selfishness, out of, randomly or otherwise. She's saying, I'm a selfish bitch, take that. I only date scumbags, take that. Now, some people some people are a guy, seems like a nice guy, but they're in rebellion against God and they serve the devil and the state and da-da-da, which is basically the extension of the devil. All nations in the world, Isaiah 34. Okay. And they deserve to get hurt. So while this maniac is shooting flaming arrows of death, yeah, knock yourself out on the bitch-ass motherfuckers who won't obey God through me, especially if they think I'm wrong about this. Yeah, light them up. Fuck them. That's God's plan. But you weren't respecting me enough to submit. Even the devil fled from Christ in the story. The demons in the pig, obeyed Christ in the story. But you're the type of evil person that would not obey me, that will not obey me, that is not obeying me. Like a maniac shooting flaming arrows of death is the one who deceives their neighbor and says, I was only joking. They don't have the sound judgment to make the right call, and it causes the most righteous person that ever lived to have mental anguish, etc. When I was younger, I might cut myself. No excuse for it. But on top of that, they're like a maniac. She's a fucking maniac, like this song. She's a maniac. Yeah, it's not cute. It's not, I was only joking. No. Because you're being a bitch while you're quote-unquote only joking. You're causing death and destruction and mental anguish. You're dating the scoundrels who massacre people all over the world, including people from your own race. And the biggest traitors from your race, you're like, I'm going to date them because he's from my race and he's getting money. As you massacre the other members of your race, and you probably consider yourself someone who's proud to be from your race, proud to date Judas, proud to point them in the wrong direction, proud to hook them to a machine as a fucking sex slave like the sex workers in Manila. That is how much you love your race, that you want them to be some kind of fucking variation of a sex worker and to date the low down fucking trash that would get you to shun Jesus and to persecute him in a despicable, cowardly, beta, white, devil, colonialist, bitch-made fucking manner. Now, I'm part white, I'm not racist. That is the manner. A Jewish supremacist is a Jewish devil, and a white supremacist is a white fucking devil. If you don't know that, you are a stupid fuck. Anyway. Point number 22. The brain is anticipating that I will consciously figure it out, and it is signaling and preparing me. Going back to that positive evolutionary trait argument I made earlier. The brain is saying, get angry. Why? It's like you see you're on fire, like, ouch, it hurts. Oh shit, I'm on fire. Do you want your brain not to tell you that you're on fire? Should my brain not tell me that the fucking devil's servant, is attractive, and I should be mad at her? I shouldn't be sad. I should be fucking mad. I shouldn't shake it off. I shouldn't be sad, per se. At least initially, at least at that point. I should be mad. Because of course even the fucking Bugs Bunny knows it. Even the bunny, even the rabbit knows it. Of course this means war. Okay. So to speak. Wherever the so to speak is to be placed. Now again, I'm planning to, I have some incel doing shooting up a sorority lounge, lodge. No. I'm the son of God. 189,000 people die every day. And again, is that female like my worst enemy or something? It's just another pretty face that doesn't have the sense to obey God. That they're all going to the lake of fire. You better believe that. Yeah, where was I? She's more than the pretty female. She's sexy too, and da-da-da. But anyway, where we're here. Point number 23. I subconsciously know that they try to interfere with the process of me breaking it down and helping attractive females break it down and figure it out. and they are interfering in a calculated manner. So while I'm angry at that moment, there's a bunch of connections taking place. And one is knowing there's a bunch of bitch-ass motherfuckers, geeks, arrogant social club crest-wearing pussies, okay, psychotic military people, white supremacists, Jewish Zionists, all kinds of assorted, just horrible people, filthy soul having trash. Need to clean the inside of the cup and dish. It's fucking filthy in those bitches. Okay, and they're like, oh, yeah, let's plot some more. Look, we have to do, those are the rules. He broke the rules. Some kind of stupid fuck who thinks that they're mere human rules, customs, and traditions. Fuck you and your family going to church for, you bitch. Going to a mosque, going to a synagogue. If you think your bitch-ass rules are more important than the rules of God, fuck you going to some religious institution for, you bitch you. Like, I gotta explain that. These fucking lesser forms of life, these inferior minds, these pussies, these dumbasses. Anyway. "24. I subconsciously know that they will try to take credit and try to say that they should be in charge. Because we taught him everything he knows, yes. Look, he's the son of 2 doctors, one's a brain surgeon genius. You don't think he would do a better job if you weren't fucking hacking his brain and fuming him, you stupid son of a bitch? Think that's the best she can do? 25. I subconsciously know that they will falsely argue that I should not overthink. That's what happens when you overthink. Dumber than hell. You see, they're piling on the considerations subconsciously. You know what happens if you don't think things through? It's like Stimpy from Ren and Stimpy. Ren and Stimpy, scatterbrain. Pinky, scatterbrain. The brain, he thinks in a certain way, but he doesn't think effectively. It's not that he's thinking too much. It's that he's thinking like a dumb, psychotic lab fucking rat. He's a little witty, a little clever, knowledgeable, but he's a fucking dumbass. He's not wise. He's not insightful. He doesn't have sense. He's a dumb, psychotic lab rat. The problem with the Riddler as a character based on people in real life. The Joker. Okay, Lex Luthor. What have you. The problem, Dr. Doom, Magneto. The problem is they think like a dumb fuck who's evil. The problem isn't that they think too much. 26. The various obnoxious types of adversaries have intolerable ways about them, and they trigger people. So don't forget, it's like that when I say some bitch ass, to add insult to injury, there's a bunch of bitches out there. Okay, now again, I see good in people. If they want to repent, they can repent. But as it stands right now, they are a bitch ass motherfucker, some wise ass bitch, some evil piece of shit, some sarcastic ass pussy. Okay. Some toxic, vile piece of filth, poisonous slime, assorted, obnoxious trash, indecorous, unbelievably abhorrent worms, snakes, a brood of vipers, rapacious wolves, punk-ass motherfuckers in their various forms, on a spectrum and in their various variations. Bitch-ass motherfuckers. Type of motherfucker, you take one look at them, you feel like slapping the taste out their motherfucking mouth. Blackface type of bitches in terms of painting their face. Look, I'm mocking a Negro like a bitch. Klansmen, neo-Nazis, Zionists, all kinds of filthy, lowly people, horrible people. Just knowing these people are dogs in a venomous, demonic spirit is enough to hate them. But to know that they're calculating against you and everyone else, many of them going out of their way to make sure that the kill rates, the rates of starvation continue, when you subconsciously know that there are various types of obnoxious adversaries who have intolerable ways and ways about them, they trigger you. And the answer isn't to hum with some gay hippie in the woods and meditate or something. The answer is to put on the armor of God and to take them on. And I'm not necessarily saying literally in terms of, shooting out with them or something. If it is the right thing to do, it's the right thing to do is the answer to that question. Okay. Do I intend to do it myself? No. But if I did, you can bet your bottom dollar I'd be right. Where was I here? 27. The damned if you do, damned if you don't psychology. If you try to talk to her, you will regret it. If you don't try to talk to her, you will regret it. It reminds me of my videos in public, right? If you go out there, you rent the car, you're going to spend, rent 4 cars for like a total of maybe 36 days altogether. You're going to spend like $2,000. You're going to go out to these cities. You've been there before to some degree, right? I've been there before. And you're going to try to talk to people. And these sheeple, these pushovers aren't going to respond. However, just because you know that's going to play out that way doesn't mean it's not worthwhile. So you're going to go out there. I go as far as say I was right to do it, but to some degree I was damned if you don't, damned if you do. So it's a variation. So this was trying to talk to an attractive stranger. Okay? You're going to spend the rest of your life wondering what would happen. Yep. And if you actually try, you're probably going to get rejected. Okay, so point 28, the superficial, empty, and often insulting attempts to quote-unquote make it up to you that we often associate with situations that are similar to this one. Okay, so if some hot chick says, I'll hook you up with my friend, and she's unattractive. And if she's attractive, she's not as attractive. Okay? Or, hey, try lowering your standards. Someone giving you some bad advice or something. When people say never settle, one of the most common forms of advice that we get or types of advice are the advice that's connected to don't sell yourself short, know your worth, don't settle. Okay. Point number 29. People often pretend that Mandela types are more offensive and offensive seeming than, say, ugly Nazis. So quite often we look at society, there's but he's the N-word effect. Okay? They believe that a black person can only be so appealing romantically. Some people simply don't date black people. Some people flat out say they don't date black people. God is love. Hebrew's an Afro-Asiatic language. Martin Luther King goes beyond every white person in American history, though black people are like 13% of America historically in like the last 20, 30, 40 years or something. 50, 60, probably going back to the 60s, right? So during slavery, when people first touched down, they brought over a lot of slaves. In some places, it was like 50% black or whatever. But over time, black people became like 13% of America. But still, the most respectable day is a day about a black person, Martin Luther King Jr. So that sheer resentment, that sheer rejection of God, it's like Lilith, right? So imagine Lilith is white and Adam is black. And again, white women aren't exactly my favorite women to date or something. I look at things fairly. If the characteristics line up, okay. But they tend to be racist a lot of times. They're unfair, a lot of times unattractive, what have you. Most females are not attractive, and so on and so forth. But anyway, so imagine you're God and you're in an African spirit, right? Mankind comes from Africa. The original spirit, the true spirit of God is African. Okay? It's best described as African if you had to describe it as any race or any group or any continent, what have you. And here you make this guy with his African spirit. He's, say he's my complexion. What the heck? He's light-skinned black person. This white chick. She says, no, I don't want to date him because he's black. And I don't like black guys. It's not my thing. The answer to that is, bitch, shut the fuck up and do what the fuck you're told by, and I don't want to use the cuss words at the same time as using God, so by the Almighty. In the same sentence, in the same way, right? So do what you're told by God. What you think with your racist scale from the white oppressor colonist, one of them just drove by with their nose up right now, is white Jew or something, Judeo-Christian culture, they're kind of forged by whites and Jews and LGBT. What you think you should do is some bitch-made, low-stock, less than peasants in an ideal society type of bitch shit. Your answer to God is because you're a dumb bitch with a stupid sense of who you should date, that you're not going to follow God's divine mandate? Can you imagine them arguing this in church? Well, if God tells you to date a black guy, or Jesus is black, you don't do what he says. Come on, guys, come on. Can you imagine that? That's the kind of fucking stupidity I've dealt with my whole life. It's not just when it was obvious that Christ is black. Hey, I'm Christ, I'm black. Okay? They were already the type of person, and their parents were the type of people to reject God's son because he's black. That is fucking pathetic. White people have not existed for that long. Mankind migrated into Europe like, I don't know, it was like 70,000 years ago or whatever. Human beings have been around 300,000 years. The first 230,000 years, there wasn't even a white person to say, I like only white people about in the first fucking place. You know, fucking petty and shallow talk about the surface. It goes deep. The roots of black people, the roots of humanity, black people. God and black people. Going deep, going shallow. In the last like 10,000 years, my specific type of white person came about, and I only date them because I'm a dumb fucking bitch. That's called being a shallow, stupid, low stock, airhead bitch. The fuck don't people get? Well, they want us to do that. Outside the gates are the cowardly, you chicken head bitch. Okay. Point number 30. When people say, well, she did nothing wrong, well, what's the problem? When there are countless points and lessons to be learned here, it frustrates the issue, and they obstruct romantic justice. Point number 31. It is the nature of the planet to be an obstacle course with dangerous predators and religions and philosophical options. So in 2025, what excuse do they have? For example, people are going through nature and say, how do we deal with all this stuff? And some people might start crying in the corner and say, the world is such a cruel place, blah, blah, blah. They say, okay, will you live for a cause? Quit being a bitch and live for the highest cause. You say, I'm going to live for white supremacy because I'm a dumb bitch. I'm going to live for Zionism. And I'm going to pretend the kingdom of heaven wasn't taken because I'm a stupid fuck. Okay? It's called being a dumbass. You live to pump another guy in the fucking you-know-what? Instead of putting virtue above sex? Then you're a dumb fucking piece of shit who should be discriminated against. Get your priorities straight, motherfucker. Get them straight. Like I gotta explain this to motherfuckers. Now they think that doesn't matter. They say, they should be thrown into a meat grinder, and while they're dying, a gay judge should tell them, well, when they have gay sex, they get a kick out of that, and they put that before what's right. Like I gotta explain this.